Okay, I forgot to click on the go live thing, so yeah, that's why it didn't start. I'm so sorry for that. Okay. So I'll be reading Bakugo Katsuki Exterior Fic at the start, and I'm gonna say the summary right now. You were an aspiring ballerina, always held back by the echoes left in your home, working hard to find a place on the stage, with a single spotlight. He wanted nothing more than to express himself, but at the risk of losing all he worked for. His own dreams facing a roadblock he never expected or wanted. So as you come to find out the secret he's been keeping one full day after school, the fear of getting kicked out of UA now present in both your minds. Bakugo and you must learn to rely on one another, or have both of your dreams crushed before they even began. The turning of the seasons had always been one of your favorite parts of the year, especially now, as the fall was finally starting to set in. The warmth of summer was finally starting to fade off, in favor of changing leaves and the smell of autumn. Your eyes gazed out the window, not paying much attention to the sound of the teacher rambling on about the new semester, or how the final half of this year will be much harder than your first. Your thoughts were elsewhere at this moment, absorbed in how the fall was nearly here. And currently sitting in your seat behind a misty green-haired male, with a tall ravenet behind you, you were once more reminded of how truly lucky you were to be sitting here in this classroom during this part of your life. UA Academy was not an easy school to get into, seeing as only about 2% of those who applied even get in. Therefore, only the true pass of the best were able to sit among the performing greats. But then again, maybe one day you'd be talked about in a first day speech, when some teacher in the not-so-distant future would say proudly, "And in this very classroom is where YN took her classes." The thought made you smile softly to yourself, seeing as if any school would help bring you to hold the title of a skilled and elegant ballerina, it would be UA. The school is known for its two lead programs after all, composer or choreographer. Choreographer, I messed this up. UA would accept 20 gifted students from each program each year, and help them hone their skills to be a bright star by the time they graduated. UA's own structure was made to promote teamwork among not only the peers in your program, but also in the rival one, meaning each class held 10 dancers and 10 musicians, with regular classes occurring and allowing everyone to mix and mingle among each other, and form bonds that may be useful. Why do I not lose track of things? And form bonds that may be useful become adulthood. Oh God, this sentence. You even had a partner program, a dancer and a musician. The dancer would dance to the musician's songs, and the musician would create a score for a dance. This way, each could get exposure and make a possible friend along the way. And you were grateful for the partner who had come day one, when everyone was searching for someone who looked to have a common theme. She was elegant, organized, and hardworking, not to mention providing you with some of the most gorgeous and original classics pieces you had heard for your recent ballet lessons. The sound of your teacher speaking your name tugged you back to reality with wide eyes. He looked back towards the man who was tapping his finger against the desk impatiently. Aizawa Sensei seemed to have been trying to get your attention for a while now. Yes, Sensei? You squeaked, embarrassed to have been caught daydreaming. We're finishing up, so please try to stay with us for a few more minutes. He spoke, dark eyes looking towards his teaching partner, Yamada, take over. And with that, the male bent downwards and got into his sleep. Oh my god, he still gets into his sleeping bag. Okay. And got into his sleeping bag. A few of the girls giggled at the strange dance teacher. I can't get started with this guy. A few of the okay. A few of the girls giggled. Yeah, I got that. At the strange dance teacher they had, as his music counterpart began to scream out the remaining announcements. You decided not to try and daydream any longer. Instead, looking at the school guidebooks that had been handed out once again at the start of the fall semester. Apparently, the principal wanted to reinstate the rules, as yet another group of students had been expelled last semester over breaking that one single rule. The one that made UA as famous as its alumni. The one that made students get approval for anything they didn't fear of accidentally getting some. Wait, what's that rule? They didn't fear of accidentally doing something to get expelled. The rule that was listed as number one of the guidelines. Any students of any department caught dancing, writing, scoring, or similar to street music and street dancing. Do street music or street dancing, including hip-hop, breakdancing, etc., while be facing immediate expulsion. Listening or viewing any sort of street music or dance is prohibited on school grounds as well. Oh god, that was so strict. What? It was a strange rule that many students and outsiders questioned, but he understood it enough. Seeing as UA attracts those sorts of stingy and high-ups individuals, unlike most people who come from the tourist society, any sort of popping and locking was nothing but savage and dangerous to them. Plus, UA was already known for injuries, since students tried to push themselves when they really needed patience and practice, resulting in plenty of visitors to the school nurse. There were plenty of other reasons as well, but ones you didn't bother to trying to understand. All that mattered to you at the current time was reaching the goal you had wanted so badly since you had first performed at the young age of 4. And now, you could finally see a path engraved towards that goal. The only thing that remained was to stay on the path, and not wander too far away from it. It was here at this prestigious school that you managed by some miracle to snag a seat as a choreographer student. Specifically, as a ballet student, something you were overjoyed by. Not only had you gotten UA, but been accepted into your dance preference as well. Something not every student was lucky enough to receive, many having to settle for third or even fourth choices. Currently, you were starting to pack up your things. The lessons of that day had ended, and the final bell had rung 5 minutes ago, and, as you did so, your music partner was waiting patiently by her desk, a gleeful and excited smile on her features as she spoke to you. Ellen-san, are you still on for tea today? I've been meaning to try out the new tea shop downtown, and I know how much you adore a nice warm tea after the long days we have here. Yaya rose and Momo spoke, her black hair moving as she pushed a couple of locks back. Your eyes light up in excitement upon her words, only to suddenly face another thought across your mind. With a sinking feeling in your heart, you shook your head, sorry to disappoint your kind-hearted and caring partner. I'm so sorry, Yaya-san. What? Where did it go? Where? Okay. You sighed, patting your lips out. If it had been another day, then I would for sure jump at the chance to join you. But Aizawa-sensei scheduled my meeting for right after school. A dark-haired female nodded knowingly, understanding that when it came to grades or friends, she would pick the latter as well, especially if it was the meeting all the students had been having today with their professors. We'd have to reschedule our tea for another date then. Yara rose and nodded towards you, and then picked up the remaining of her belongings before heading towards the door herself. Oh, and make sure not to be late for your meeting today, seeing as you're the last one, as though a Sensei might be eager to get this over with. He nodded as she left. Yeah. You nodded to your music partner as she left, sending one more soft smile and small wave towards you as you finished packing up your own belongings before heading towards your student. By the way, things wrongly. For heading to your student-teacher meeting that was in another few minutes now. A soft budding worry filled your heart as you tried to imagine how this meeting would go. Aizawa Sensei was an excellent teacher, but you're worried he'd beat your already fragile self-esteem to the dirt. But then again, you were one of the highest scores for the semester fellow, so maybe the meeting would go well. Once a semester, starting after your first semester, every A students would meet their career instructor and discuss what their challenge for the incoming semester would be. Essentially, the assigned project would be the major project the student would conduct and put together to showcase at the end of the semester. Choreography students would have to do something with the dance, and composer students would make an individual piece. Of course, it had to die to your chosen subject, but could branch out or mix. For example, your ballet would mix with a Charleston or a music student. What is Charleston? Or a music student could combine pop and rock. The sky was the limit, as long as the basic rules applied to what you wanted to do. You are curious, though, what Aizawa Sensei would be asking you to improve on, as your last semester exam ended with a near-perfect score of a 97. And if you hadn't been so nervous to perform in front of your sensei for the first few seconds, then you were sure you would have gotten a perfect 100. But if anything, it was something to strive for come this semester. As you pondered more about it, though, wandering towards the door to leave the classroom and instead exit into the hallway to find the teacher's lounge, you failed to notice the door that had been swung open with a force. The door thrower also seemed to be lost in his own world, rushing in and not looking in front of him. The pair of bodies colliding quickly, making you both fall to the floor with groans, and I searching for the person who had collided with either of you. "Hey, watch it, Twinkle Toes," came the loud voice of one of the composer students. "You made me drop my damn sheet music." He groaned as ash locks of blonde shook in front of you, the honor shaking from the anger coursing through him. Your hues of Eichler? EC, right? Yeah. Your hues of EC looked up to see none other than your class resident. Hothead waiting for your response, but seeing as you were taking too long for his own preference, he decided to instead click his tongue and look towards where his sheets of music rested. Recited. Moron. At least apologize when you run into someone. You finally blinked back to reality, a certain bubble of annoyance sprouting inside of you now. And while for the past 5 or 6 months you had managed to at least stay out of the way of this Grammy Mail, but when he personally attacked you for something that was just as much his fault as your own, or entirely his fault, you couldn't contain the emotions inside of you. Maybe if you didn't why can't I read? Please. Maybe if you didn't swing doors open, you wouldn't run into people, you muttered, seeing as his ears grew red from the rise of anger in him, at your remark. Either way, though, I'll take responsibility this time, since I don't have the time to argue with you today, Bakugo-san? Huh? What the fuck does this mean? He ground his teeth. Taking the blame for no reason is the same as not realizing that you're at fault. He shrugged, grabbing a few of the sheets that had fallen near you, knowing that you'd have hell to pay if you were late to your meeting with Aizawa-sensei. So you swallowed your tongue, and simply nodded towards the ash blonde, despite having a few more comebacks and snarky remarks loaded into your gun of words. I understand, but if you'd excuse me, he spoke to him, seeing as Emil himself was now silent. It was strange, as a classmate who had come to know and experience what? Who you had come to know and experience his emotions firsthand, was usually never silent, especially after he had just been so angered. But when you looked at him, you could see him eyeing the sheets in your hands, your own gaze wandering downwards to them, eyes hidden the first couple notes. Before you could truly make sense of what the music would be like, though, the papers were stolen from your grasp, and back into the shaken hands of their owner. The crimson hues of annoyance meeting yours again, as you gave him a look of an impression. And, before you could tell you off again, you rose to your feet and jogged towards the door. The echoing of your flats against the tile floor. Why can't I speak? Pause. The echoing of your flats against the tile floor, reaching down to both ends of the hallway as you ran, unbeknownst to you, with eyes of red that still managed to follow you, until you turned the corner and disappeared from his view. His lip raising in a disgusted frown as the papers he held were crumbled slowly in his grasp, enough to cause the straight edges to bend inwards. He didn't care though, more worried about the 1 second you had seen what he had been working on, and, especially, if you were even able to read the strange notes and symbols he had put down on the paper. Either way, Bakugo had somewhere he needed to be as well, and seeing as the little ballerina was acting like her usual goody-goody self, he figured she hadn't seen anything that would cost him. After all, what the hobby had picked up. Other people finding out would mean a possible end to a career that had yet even to start. Oh, so maybe it's like it's street music, I think. That's chapter 1. I think this one has like 50 chapters, let me see. 50. Oh lord, we're in for a ride. Hey. So, I think I'm gonna go on with chapter 2. I don't want to change. The walk to the teacher's lounge was quiet, most of the students having rushed out of school as soon as the bell rang, either to hang out or go home to try and snag a studio before they all got filled up and taken by those who work quicker than them. They were not as lucky though, seeing as rather than spending your after-school time doing what you need to do, such as homework or cleaning, you were instead waiting outside the teacher's office, the sound of your sensei carried through, his dry voice seeming to continue to read the person currently in his hold. You almost felt bad, having heard the rumors at the start of the year how much of a harsh grader Aizawa-sensei was. You tried to drown it out, seeing as you might have enough time to make a quick run to the nearby vending machine at the end of the hallway. You'd be able to see the teacher's lunch by the machine and could sprint back if it meant you need to get your butt in the room. Hold on, I'm gonna get water. Just a second. Your pace was slower now that you knew you had a few seconds of time to fetch an iced peach tea from the machine. You enjoyed the spare change you kept in the small coin purse, always hanging from your person in a cute pouch, with a small embroidered heart. Oh, that's so cute. Next to you stood two girls from our class, giggling excitedly at something they were watching on one of their phones. Your eyes happening to catch onto a few seconds as you idly slipped out your drink. As you idly sipped your drink next to the vending machine. One girl pointed excitedly towards a male on the screen, who was swinging his body across the screen. Another male next to him copying the same moves, before a female jumped over, and then fell into sync with the two beside her. Your eyes widened as you recognized the group farther, but it wasn't the group that was making you silent to a quick gaze down the hallway. It was exactly what they were performing, and how oblivious these two girls were. Is this the street music? They had been so engrossed in their performance that neither had seen you looking over your shoulders. Red right. Red right on charge ball, that's so cool. They really are in sync with one another, huh? Ain't-chan? Pinky is just as amazing though. She holds them all together. The two continued to chat, unaware of the eyes watching them from so close with a look of disbelief in them. How could they be so reckless? Did they forget the biggest rule that existed here? Were they yeah, it's the street music. Or were they that confident that they would not get them? God. Caught, despite being in the I can't talk. Despite being in the open. You sighed, clearing your throat. The noise started the girls, and quicker than you had expected. One of the girls had put her phone to sleep, and shoved the device back into her bag, hanging off her shoulder. I'd be more careful if you're going to be watching that thing at your A, he muttered. The tone you used, no doubting the females knew what they were watching. After all, even watching it on school grounds could be disastrous to record and possible opportunities in the future. But why not? I want to know why the rule exists. I want to know. The two girls quickly nodded, seeming to have things written across their faces that would not tell on them, and they rushed away, no doubt off to watch the video of the break-dancing group elsewhere. You couldn't help but sigh. Wandering back to your seat outside of the office that still had your teacher ramming away at the poor soul inside, you decided to sit in silence. Nothing but the sounds of footsteps or doors rattling from somewhere else. You were not sure why your mind was thinking of the video you had seen, though. The moves you had seen performed, always seeming to make you feel uneasy. The way those dancers seemed to The way those dancers seemed to twirl, spin, and push their bodies in ways that were so different than your own. How strange it was to think that this small group of five had gone from being known for a month ago to now some of the biggest sensations of the internet as of currently. Their page on the video sharing website boasting over 100 million views and nearly 1 million subscribers already. Not to mention how much of a mystery the group itself was, adding much more to the popularity. The breakdancing crew that was vindicious was apparently a combination of the words vicious and vindicator. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Two words that the crew said represented their members in one or both ways. Their faces were hidden by a mask and their bodies color-coded, so one could tell who they were from the colors they wore. The group seemed to be into darker theme, both figuratively and literally. I can't believe Kaminari can do that. The group was comprised of 5 members, 4 males and 1 female. Oh, it's gonna get interesting. To name them each was rather simple, as each video would take the time to highlight the street name each went by before the actual routine began. Cellophane, the brown tango. Charge World, the Rajo, I don't have Rajo. Pinky, the hot pink tanuki. Is this thing? Like, is it Japanese? Red White, the red Ani. And finally the leader, Ground Zero, the orange Kitsune. Kitsune. So yeah, he's in that street dance group. That's interesting. Yeah, they're Japanese. Each bore a mask of some kind of creature from Japanese mythology, and made sure to distinguish themselves further with the colors they wore. A scheme of black and whatever their chosen color was. That was how each was able to show off who they were, without ever showing anything unrecognizable. And their followers loved it. The mere thought that these gifted street dancers could be anyone you passed by on the street made people dare realize who they really were, and for a while, it remained a mystery, or until a video from 2 months ago had left people questioning. You had heard it yourself through the grapevine at time. After the Spring Sports Festival, a new video popped up. Curious, you decided to check out the video yourself, wanting to confirm the possible rumor you had heard. Can't say. God, rumor you had heard yourself from your own classmates. In that video, around the 150 mark, it could be seen for a split second behind one of the members. It was hard to see at first, but only those with truly keen eyes were able to spot such a small detail in the abandoned industrial plant the group was performing at. But someone did, and that someone had no issues pointing out in the comments. The white sweatshirt that bore a certain emblem of a certain school that didn't allow a certain kind of dancing on its grounds. And as more people started to notice the accidental Easter egg, oh, I know it's getting caught. It's the Baku. More theories grew. He knew that a simple sweatshirt that bore Dewey's name on it could have caused such a stir, but it did, and soon enough, the comments were filled with theories, from people claiming the group kept their faces hidden because they attended UA, to people saying it was warning to the school that was too prestigious to go with the times and how the dance and music had evolved. The video was removed from the channel quickly, whether it was because the members were actually UA students who almost had their secret made more public, or just not wanting to see all the argument in the comments. You couldn't be sure, but what you were sure of though was the amount of re-uploads and their videos that came from this incident, and the taken down for the dance did not help. If anything, it brought more attention to them. I was so anxious. Oh no. Not that you had paid much attention to the strange street crew though. Oh. Hold on. Having too many things in your own mind, it was hard to even imagine though. If this group was truly made of UA students, after all, they must be paranoid about keeping a secret this big hidden for so long. So much to lose. All for a silly view, or for a few silly views on the internet. So was it worth it? You didn't know yourself, but you did know how unsettling it was to think that if this group is truly from UA, then it could mean a terrible punishment for them later. Not only had the group been performing street class dance and music, but had also grown popular for it. No matter who they were, you couldn't help the anxiousness that grew inside of you, thinking how their dreams could be shattered if they were found out, and so you hoped that those masks would stay on their faces for as long as possible. If something bad occurs, and you'd have to watch it as yet again. Someone's dreams were shattered. Yet again, huh? The sounds of a door opening and loud footsteps dragging along made you snap out of your daze. Your gaze falling into one of your classmates. He looked to have been lectured to near extinction from how blank his eyes looked. Oh no. The usual shimmering eyes of gold looked hollowed out, and even his tail locks was straw yellow with that infamous black lightning, like streak. He claimed was naturally there, were tossed from him, no doubt running his hand through his hair in frustration. He perked up slightly when he saw you, though, his eyes widening, and then quickly, having whatever spell that had been cast on him pass away, his bright smile returning and waving to you in a friendly manner. "Oh hey, Ellen." The male known as Kamnari Denki pointed out to the door behind him. "You're the last one, huh?" You nodded, raising from your seat and patting away the imaginary dust in your skirt and blazer. Oh god. This fic is so long. It's intimidating. Give me a moment. Kaminari pats you in the back as slowly as you move towards the door. He flashed you one last supportive smile before heading out himself. And he knows what goes on in there. You saw him heading towards your shared classroom once more before you closed the door and turned to see your graphic teacher standing on the plush couch. His black eyes focused on what you could assume to your files and notes, only noticing you when you sat down and greeted him. "Hello, Izawa-sensei." Your voice was small but smooth, making sure to not startle the man. He glanced up at you, nodding towards you and placing the sheets back onto the folder, and he pinched his temple. Oh no, he looks tired. He looks angry. Your teacher looked exhausted, and you could understand why. Had gone through all 10 of the choreographer students all today after all. Quite a daunting task for a man who barely had the energy to teach a history lesson on the daily. You were the last one, right? Aizawa spoke, seeing as you nodded to his question. "Perfect. Let's make this quick then." You blinked a few times, not realizing that your teacher would purposely try to move through your meeting in order to free himself of this task. But then again, maybe you just had a small number of critiques compared to everyone else. "Alright, sir," he spoke as he started to speak, not even a moment later. "Your performance at the end of the semester was nearly perfect, and the parts that had messed up minimally on were no doubt due to a few certain errors. Therefore, I haven't found anything of worth to note for you to work on after reviewing your recital. Recital? I don't know. You already have the skill and prowess of a professional. I'm sure both your parents would be proud to see." Would be proud? Are they dead? I'm not sure. Would be proud, seeing as you're following in the footsteps they have left for you. Yeah, they're probably dead. Not to mention how you've easily lived up to the academic standard UA holds towards I can't speak. Holds towards those who were recommended to our school. You know what you're doing when the spotlight is on you, so not much can be said about personal improvement when it comes to that. To what you wish to do with your life. You smile inwardly, knowing this news would make your parents no doubt happy. Knowing that maybe they'd be happy enough to even... Oh, they're alive, okay. However, the single words made you pause your thoughts, stomach churning as your teacher began to continue to speak farther. The once calm atmosphere you had felt in this room gone now, knowing that you now couldn't speak to them about your progress done, but the small bundle of hope still inside you to be given a chance. But you couldn't, not with the next words spoken from his mouth. Ballet, waltz, I don't know if I'm saying those right, I'm sorry. Foxtrot, tango, quickstep. All of them you listed as your preferences for this course in the school. Dances that require a partner, someone to share in your steps and thinking. And yet, you've only performed your solo routines, or none of the ones that require a partner. Therefore, I believe in the interest of you furthering your skills and relations to others here at the school, it would be best for you to work towards your first year final dance as a pas de deux. Pas de deux? De is like two in Francais. Pas de deux. I don't know how to say. Okay. It's in French, but I don't know if that's a music term. Whether it is in ballet that you've been working on for the last month, or switching it up, doesn't matter to me. What it does is choosing a partner. You can choose anyone you want, as long as the two of you get a routine down, and ready to perform a new Ace showcase in March. Then you'll pass. Failure to do so will harm you, and possibly get you held behind. So I advise you to work hard and choose someone who you can trust and think with. You could only nod, then shocked by the sudden development. Find a partner. Someone interested enough to not only dance beside you as an equal, but enough to trust to handle you and your dream with care. The mere thought shook you to your core. Well, that about wraps up what I have to say, Isaiah muttered, watching for you to get up and leave him to his own devices. Unless you have any questions or concerns you wish to discuss. Before you could stop yourself, however, you were nodding your head to the man, and muttering about how it all sounded fine to you. Your polite and obedient nature shining through and respecting your elder despite your elder despite how you want to tell him that had no way to do this, okay? How you wanted to tell him that you had no way to do this. You and couldn't. I'm too shook. Instead, you said your thanks, gave a bow towards your teacher and exited the classroom, your body on autopilot to bring you back home, while your mind was stuck on a single worrying thought. A partner. Who would be your partner? Yeah, it's gonna be back though. That's chapter 2 though. Oh my god, we got through this really quickly. Did we do a new fic? Guys, did we do a new fic? I gotta read in chat here. I have that there. It's gonna. Okay, I'm gonna do a dabby one, because I'm convinced I won't be able to do like 50 chapters, so there's no point just going up. Yeah, it's a lot. There's this dabby pic I saved. Yeah, this one. Hold on. There it is. So this is a soulmate AU in which like there's a timer for when you meet your soulmate. Okay. 0, so like yeah, I'm just gonna read because this is hard to explain, like lots of numbers. 1 for seconds, 1 for minutes, 1 for hours, 1 for days, 1 for months, and 1 for years. And the countdown timer on your wrist was quickly narrowing down to the last 5 minutes until you and your fated lover would meet. After so many years and sleepless nights alone and suffering, you only had a few more measly minutes until you could finally share your life with someone. Another quick glance, a flutter of your heart, then turning back to watch where you were walking the street. Anyone up in front of you or behind you, or about to turn a corner, could be your soulmate. Oh, it was so exciting to think about. You eagerly waited for a crosswalk to change, seeing another look at the timer on your wrist, a large smile enveloping in your face as you saw the numbers again, seeing the time was flying back so fast. 30 measly seconds. The right hand changed to a glowing man. Right hand? Oh, okay. To a glowing man, and you started walking forward, not noticing the man crossing in front of you. His cerulean, I don't know how to pronounce that. Cerulean eyes? Looked up, seeing as you absent-mindedly smiling to yourself and looking at your wrist. He smirked, seeing this as a perfect opportunity to do what he came out in public to do in the first place. With this girl not paying attention to her surrounding, he quickly grabbed a hold of her purse, tugging enough to snag it from her arm. However, something unexpected happened the moment he glanced up to make sure the girl wasn't going to fight back. His eyes glanced at her for a moment, her own eyes rising in shock. This guy was attempting to steal from her in broad daylight. Then, a soft ping. Debbie blinked, stealing a glance at the pesky soulmate timer. He had long forgotten about it since he took up this new identity. The clock being long forgotten uncovered the way under his own clothes. Yet, was that the sound of his timer running out? You! The girl shouted, shoving his hands off of her purse, and then tugging him to an alleyway near where they had just met. Dabby rolled his eyes, seeing that he might as well just get this over with, and let the girl know he had no interest in her or the soulmate system. He was much too preoccupied with the league to truly take on or worry, let alone care about the soulmate. He pressed his back against the brick wall, watching aloofly as the girl he had just attempted to rob glanced at him, knowing she must be gathering her own opinion of him. He sighed, poking her away and glaring down at her. What do you want, little girl? You tried to steal from me, didn't you? And also, I'm 20. You're still shorter than me, so you're a little girl. I feel like he has that dull voice, he doesn't care. He narrowed your eyes, and he laughed. What, expecting an apology too? Well, we're soulmates. You might as well apologize. Debbie snickered, tossing a hand to the side and shrugging. You puffed at your cheeks toward this guy who someone happened to be your fated lover, another half. Your mind was already coming up with all sorts of ways and words to describe this guy, and none of them were pretty. I have no interest in a soulmate, but if you're so into them, I won't take any of your money. That's my gift to you, soulmate. He turned, starting to walk away. Your eyes twitched, and you lifted the hand forward. No way was he going to be such an asshole to you, and then walk off like none of this meant anything. The two of you are soulmates, and we're going to talk this through, no matter what, and no matter if you wanted to or not. Dabby collided with something in front of him, his face recoiling in pain and his voice sneering loudly as he turned to look at the girl behind him. Your arm was softly illuminated, and you held a smirk on your face. You pressed your free hand on your hip and flashed the scarred man a wink, his eyes narrowing, and he came forward, only to ram into another invisible wall when he attempted to grab you. The hell is this? It's my quirk, he smiled. Invisible trap. You're going to have to let me go eventually. And If you refuse, I'll force you. I'm not someone you want to mess with. Little girl, as scary as you look, my walls are quite hard to break. So until you and I talk about some things, I have no issue keeping you trapped inside this cage like our little rat. Tabby's eyes narrowed, but his chest pounded slightly. Yet as soon as you become some easy pushover, easy to break regular civilian. But as he stood there, trapped by a quirk and watched as you forced him into your demands, he couldn't help but feel his interest in you grow. Things were getting interesting now, so you might as well stick around for a little longer. Okay, that's a Dabby pick. That's. Ooh. Oh. Are you singing Heather? Okay. And I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna just find the one that I find and do it. Oh, there's the vlog fake. Reasons. Okay, I'm gonna try this one. You know what, I'm gonna do chapter 3 because I don't know what to choose. You didn't know what made you decide to take every longer path to your home. Maybe it was the stress of realizing you were pretty much screwed for your final. Honestly, didn't Aizawa realize the only person you talked to was your music partner? And even then, you only really spoke to Yaorezu when you needed to. A tall female trying to invite you out often. But even she and her kind offers were not enough to break you out of your shell. You did things better on your own, and Aizawa should have realized that. Forcing you to do some assignment that you should have known would lead you to your own unhappiness, and them having to fail you, in the end, seemed a bit cruel to you. But what were you supposed to say? Tell the man you refused to do it, and you just do another solo performance? He had already told you that your last examination was nearly perfect, but maybe if you switched dances he'd change his mind? No. This was UA's infamous Aizawa Sensei. The only thing he'd changed was your status as a student to one of your expulsion. Okay. Yeah, that's the only thing he changes. You bit your lip, wishing you could speak your mind more, but then again, from what I'd always saying what you felt and acting upon it, didn't bring anyone any happiness either. You turned down a corner, the opposite direction of where you should be going, your mind wandering as aimlessly as your legs. But now, seeing a small park near the river, you thought it was about time to be focused on the sky, and how it was beginning to change into pinks and oranges. A vending machine was near the exit of the street, and across the riverside park walkway. Feeling the loose change in your pocket, you inserted a few of the coins into the machine, and pressed down some of the desired drink. Yeah. And pressed the bottom of the desired drink. He popped open the can as a little white man appeared in the streetlight, your feet carrying you across the pavement and toward the cement pathway surrounded by grass. The once vibrant blades now started to bend downwards. The summer was ending and fall beginning. Soon enough, they would be coated with snow and waiting for spring. Not many people were out currently, only a few adults making their way home, and then the occasional couples They were locked in loving embraces. You kept your head down, not wanting to make eye contact with strangers who seemed involved in some fantasy, causing them to be aware and aware of the world around them. Your lips pressed against the cool middle of the can, absent-mindedly watching the water. The sparkling cool blue began to look dim and mysterious. You wandered farther down the path, seeing as it would be dark soon, so you might actually start heading home. You spotted a bridge over the water, one that was leading in the direction you needed to take to get home, and so you broke off from the main path and started to take a small one to the bridge. A light breeze left through your hair, and you shivered slightly. It was definitely going to be time to switch into your winter uniform soon. The long sleeves and sweaters making you feel yawns of excitement and happiness, as you enjoyed the feeling of soft fabric hugging your skin. Your drink was now finished, and to your luck, a trash can was near. You paused a moment, squeezing the can slowly, your mind going over the pros and cons of what would happen if you attempted to throw the aluminium object into the large metal cylinder that was meant to go in. Deciding that things could not get any worse than they already had today, you took in a sharp breath. Your muscles relaxed as you shot your arms upwards, and used your hand to throw the can into the air. You held your breath as the object soared through the September air and towards the trash can. Your eyes glued to your eyes of easy. Okay. Sometimes I tend to skip over that because it's awkward. Your eyes glued to the trash can as the can hit it. The can bounced once more, heading towards the hole. There inside of you as it speak as you hoped to have scored the small goal, but alas, it appeared the day was not on your side. Instead, the can bounced again at the rim of the hole, and the leftover momentum sent it flying off towards the grassy hill that the bridge and the trash can were near. With a defeated sigh, you groaned and rolled your eyes. You chuckled a moment later, though, knowing for a fact that this was why you were a classical dancer and not an athlete. Plus, your gym grades could tell anyone that your physical abilities should not be measured with push-ups or kilometer runs. Okay, all that I need water. Yeah, my throat gets dry so quickly. I'm sorry. You sighed, watching as the empty can quickly started to roll down the grassy hill, the piece of aluminium finally pausing when it reached the flat surface under an overpass. Part of you saying that you could technically leave it there. It wasn't like anyone was around. It was only you. It was only one can after all. Despite this, you knew better than to litter, and besides an extra minute on your long and detour-filled walk home would not kill you. So with careful steps, not quite trusting the grass around your feet, you started your decline down the small hill. The blades tickling your exposed ankles ever so softly as you passed them by, as if ushering you to sway in the late afternoon breeze with them. You didn't, though, wanting nothing more now than to make your way home finally, and to try to forget the day's events as soon as possible. A warm pre-ordered meal, a hot bath, and a nice fuzzy blanket were waiting for you. Maybe some light television, or music as you did your homework. The options of how to decompress after the day, increasing as you thought more of it. Your thoughts didn't last long, though, as once you had paused to reach for a fallen can, you could hear the gentle hum of music, originating from another farther down the covered area you were by. Curiosity getting the best of you, like the music suddenly picked up with a few more bass notes, and then a sudden drop. You lurked forward slowly, peering out at the little clearing under you, a small grassy rectangle completely hidden from the passersby, or anyone who really wasn't closer than you currently were. Oh my god, yeah, Grant, I knew this was gonna happen. A cell phone having been placed on top of a bag, the volume loud enough for the owner to hear just fine, and for you to barely hear. Your ears only picking up, and every few words and beats, but enough for you to at least tell what genre this was. But your eyes were not focused on the cell phone and the song that was playing out into the air, but rather the figure who was standing and moving along with it. His movements and flow to match the rhythm of the music almost perfectly. His body twisting and turning as the song seemed to command him to, and as he did a quick spin before moving to bring his hands into a flurry of quick motions, you could see his face, but unlike the eyes and his mouth they had been expecting. It was the image of a fox mask, with markings of red, orange, yellow, and black that greeted you. You could barely believe it yourself, seeing that you just happened to stumble upon him, but you with exactly the clothing and mask enough to have a big idea of who you're currently watching, and seeing as his movements are practically perfect. You could easily cross off the idea of this being an imposter. It was Ground Zero himself, the infamous leader of the underground crew that had just caught those two peers of yours watching early in the day, and he seemed to be lost in the current practice he was partaking in. His own eyes, the real ones, behind the mask, hadn't even seen you, meaning he must be either terrible at sending when others were near, or in his own little world at the current moment. The song was ending, though, making the male quickly start to perform his last actions. Oh my god, I can't talk. A quick turn here, a jump there, and then finally he dove forward, spinning until the music stopped. Nearly at the exact moment he struck his own final pose. It was obvious for you that he had been working on this for a while, and after no more than one more practice, he would for sure have it down. Deciding now was the time to leave, not wanting a possible confrontation with his street dancer, or for you of all people to have been seen with him. You took a step back, your eyes so fixated on him as he looked out the loud sigh, hands moving upwards, and before you had the chance to glance away, you closed your eyes. His mask was pulled off his face. Oh my god, it's getting intense. You gasped, immediately slamming your hands over your mouth and ducking behind the wall of the concrete pillar. The music stopped a moment later, the dancer having not noticed your shocked cry from the next song that had come up. You tried to focus on something else, but now, knowing I was under the mask seemed to make things even worse. Was he really that stupid? No, you knew him well enough this past month to know he wasn't, so then why? What exactly was he trying to prove? And why? Why did he have to so recklessly tear off the mask? Oh my god. I'm so worried. Your heart was still beating rapidly, knowing how you now had some information that would not make it easy to sit in the same classroom as him. But then again, it wasn't far of you to try and control him and his decisions. Fair, I think they meant fair. Yeah. Surely he had his own reasons for doing this, ones that would make the risk worth the reward, right? So, despite the uneasiness in your legs for knowing something you would have not known if you hadn't missed the trash can, you would decide to retreat now. Act like it didn't happen. like you hadn't seen it. After all, that was the only way for both you and him to continue whatever path you each walked on. Oh, yes, you see each other. I'm spoiling you guys. But your own path was about to take another sudden turn. One that would cross with another's, and then merge together. A path for two that had been unplanned, but now conjured all thanks to a simple little can of a tasty drink you had decided you needed. And it was also that can that you had kicked off as you tried to turn away before he had noticed you. The sound of metal hitting your shoes, and then rolling down the hill once more, halting as it reached near him. His eyes widening, and the mask that still was in his hands, flying up to his face fast. Your form spotted easily now, the pillar no longer hiding you as you had attempted to run, but froze upon the sound. The one thing that had caused you to come down here in the first place had carelessly been forgotten about as you tried to leave, and now racing by the male's feet, your own actions had once more brought you into more trouble and work than you had originally intended. He was deaf, no doubt having recognized you. How could he not? The pair of you had run into each other just a few hours ago, and even with his mask back on, he hadn't done so in the correct way. A few wisps of ash blonde hair poking out of his mask. Wait, isn't the mask like just, or is it with hair? I don't know. You sucked in a breath, trying to calm your nerves. If anyone had more of a reason to be nervous, it was him. And so, you decided to try and reach out to the male. Even if it went well, he'd actually listen for once. There's no use for that mask now. Not when I already saw your face. Your words seemed to cling to the air tightly, the tension not rising or falling. Instead, choosing to remain dense and hard to suck down your flaming lungs. The seconds ticking by slowly as the male clenched his fists and pulled the object off his face once more. Crimson red hues were placed on you instead of the black painted dots of the mask. His lip turning down to one of the nastiest scowls you had ever witnessed, not to mention how they quivered. Ash blonde hair was now much freer, despite how the majority of it was still tucked into the black hoodie that held splashes of sunset orange. The kitsune? I don't know it's right. Kitsune appeared to have quite the hidden face if you had ever seen one. He didn't say a word as he marched up a small slope of grassy green to you. Each step he took shook the ground a bit more, and his body getting more and more jet. The very appearance of your composed classmate, making you realize you should have started running by now. But by the time you had realized it, his hand was already giving your wrist a death grip, and was pulling you towards the covered area of the underground. Oh no. And from the way his fierce eyes peeked at you, as you were tugged along, you could see the exact emotions swirling inside his hues were scarlet. And while you didn't appreciate his grip on your wrist was so tight, to cause the blood circulation to be cut off, you really couldn't blame him. Not when the stakes for his education future were now possibly threatened by you. Bakugo had every right to be angry at this moment, and you had every right to regret trying to divert the can to the trash instead of just walking by, disposing of it and carrying on your way. But that's not how it happened, and now you'd have to deal with the consequences. Oh gosh, this is so intense. I'm so scared. I wanna continue this. Oh, also, I'm seeing the chat, and G&G, thank you so much, you're so cute. You're so adorable. I don't know if I should read chapter 4. Let me see how long it is. It's not that long. So I'm gonna read it, and yeah, it's gonna be the last thing I read today. Hold on. There it is. Because it has Bakugo's view events saying out to the Ballet girl from the class finding out his secret, and how he accidentally allowed his secret to slip, among other things. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. I wanna continue this more, maybe another live stream or something. There's way too much testosterone. I don't know how to say that word. Testosterone. Testosterone. I did not say it. Okay, it doesn't matter. We can just ignore that. I know the word, but I did not say it. Testosterone. Oh god, I can't say it. Yeah, we can ignore that. The lone female cried, waving her arms around in annoyance. Around her, the four males all lifted their eyes to their female counterpart. The girl with dyed pink hair seemed very upset at the current moment, more so than she had been in the recent weeks. She seemed to be really in the mood to rant today, as this was not the only complaint flying from her lips today. And these masks are a thing. She fished out a Tanuki one that was in her dance bag. It's not even cute. That cute raccoon has this weird mustache. Maybe because it's not a raccoon. Ashido. What's a Tanuki? What's a Tanuki? The redhead laughed awkwardly. It's a Tanuki, and they typically have whiskers that looks a bit more like facial hair. He gestured. The dark black whiskers that, in Ashido's defense, did look a bit like thick mustache. Oh my god, thick mustache. I want to see them. But then again, Tanuki masks were hardly ever cute. The red hand himself wondering why his pink-haired companion had decided on this yukai in the first place. If she wanted something cuter. Kirishima, you're not helping, Ashido whined, then pointed towards the ash blonde who was silently scrolling through his phone. It's not fair. Bakugo has the cutest one of us all, and he's the scariest looking one. What does he have? And he's the scariest looking one of us all. Bakugo was a glance towards the female, a disgusted frown on his features, his lip quivering and eyes twitching in irritation. Kirishima quickly nodded sing, and waving his arms between the pair and trying not to cause another fight. Come on, Ashido. Bakugo didn't choose the mask. Kaminari did. Oh god. Kirishima tried not to make Bakugo explode, only realizing what he did a moment later. Hey man! Kaminari was quick to jump in now. Don't throw me under the bus. I brought exactly what you all asked for. Now my fault these tourist masks. Oh god. My fault these tourist masks look the way they do. I have no idea what's going on. The final member of the 5-member team chuckled next to the male with the black lightning strike in his hair, his own shade of hair matching the lightning bolt, and his smiles matching the laughter erupting from his lips. Sarah, love Sarah. Let's all just relax. Sarah pat Kaminari in his back comfortingly. All of our masks are cool, and help hide our faces. So let's only complain if they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Sarah's right. Kirishima nodded, seeing us Ashido sighed, crossing her arms with the anger spell having passed her. And besides, I think your mustache Tanuki mask is cute. Oh. Ashido laughed softly, playfully hitting Kirishima in his arm. Kirishima smiled wildly, seeing as the girl was once more starting to get back to her normal happy-go-lucky attitude, and the happy Ashido meant that the group dynamics would also be in better spirits. Fine, I'll keep being your manly raccoon, but I do think we should seriously consider adding another girl to our group. The girl urged her friends. Oh, maybe to join, I think? Urged her friends. Why? We've been doing well with only you so far. Why? Ashley almost yelled, but silenced herself among the small underpass they were all currently hanging out in. Because it's hard to be the only one out of you guys while doing all the more agile and delicate moves. You guys forget that I can only do so much. So unless one of you guys wants to be back as the road dummy. Oh god. There are three males deadpanned, remembering how recently Ashido had been struggling to pair and sing, with their fearless leader's harsh way of leading their newest dance. Since both teams tended to be leaders when it came to their crew, it was proving difficult for either to follow the other, and thus, it appeared Ashido had finally reached a tipping point, and as soon as Bakugo and Kaminari had shown up at the meeting point after classes today, the pink-haired female wasted no time in saying she refused to dance with Bakugo. It was clear to her that he wasn't going to try and let her lead, and she had made it clear that she wasn't going to follow him with blind trust. And thus, the girl had gone off for the last 10 minutes on them all having to add a new member. I think the idea. Preferably female, and able to deal with the famous ground tears rough leading. And soon. And who exactly is going to want to join us? Bakugo spoke up, putting his phone down and shooting Ashido an annoyed look. Jiro? Kaminari suggested, knowing that outside of the five of them, the composer girl was the only other to know this group's secret. I'm afraid not. Jiro told me that while she doesn't mind helping with composing, she can't dance. Mina sighed, knowing her music partner had already explained this to her from the first time she found out what the five did in their free time. It's not like we could exactly post on the channel that we're looking for a new member either, or ask someone at 2A. Then we cube with what's been working. Yeah. Then we cube with what's been working. Bakugo sighed, glancing at the water as it flowed by. Pinky here is going to get the sit down, and that's it. No new member, no more issues, and no more discussion. He's so rough. The Ashblonde's tongue had an extra venom in his last declaration. He had quickly grown tired of hearing these idiots complain. It wasn't like this was some leisurely pastime. The crew could very well get them all kicked out of UA. Kaminari had already messed up with leaving a sweatshirt in the background of one video, and now UA has been more strict with all its students, trying to see if it was true that there was a street dancing menace among the students. While Bakugo and Sarah had been reluctant to, thanks to their composer's curriculum, Ashido, Kaminari, and Kirishima had already spoken of how much closer UA was giving tabs on their dance students. So much so that the group had even attempted to post in new videos or practice and new routines since finals. Oh god. But now, with the heat from the last video having passed, it was time for a new routine. And this time, Bakugo had something big planned. But only if Ashido would suck up her stubbornness and actually look at what he had planned out. But alas, the girl was stubborn and headstrong to a fault, and it was starting to get on his nerves. Well, that's how you want it to be. Ashido tossed her items in her bag and swung it over her shoulder. Then go and find a new pinky. This is so bad. She wasted no time heading out among the soon-to-be setting sun. Her body moved in sight, showing how annoyed she was with the male she had chosen as leader of the dance crew all those months ago. Kirishima sighed, getting his own stuff together: his school bag, his dance bag, and his crew bag. like everyone else. The third bag was needed to be returned to the rented lockers at the nearby station. They were smart enough to know not to carry these with them at least. I'll go talk to her. The redhead spoke, starting to chase after Ashdo. But think about it a bit more, Bakubro. Oh. Bakugo scoffed, turning his head to the side. He wasn't sure how he got stuck with all these idiots, let alone why they kept pushing the idea of having more and more people join. It was just him and Kirishima at first. They didn't have said he had a 2A's policy on dance, and an unlikely friendship forming from there. Soon enough, Kirishima's own buddy Kaminari had joined in on the ranting about 2A, and then the idiot goes as far as to suggest that three form a mass dance crew as a way to go against 2A and the man. The man? Who? Kirishima jumping on board right away, and then urging Bakugo to join. The redhead, knowing Bakugo could dance, having seen his breakdancing skills himself when he challenged his composer to show if he could, and much to Kirishima's shock, Bakugo was even better than him, and Kirishima was a dance student. Afterward, Sarah had joined in, being Kaminari's music partner, and then, thanks to the loud lunchtime discussions, Ashida had invited herself, as expected, Drew adding in some advice for music occasionally, but one way or another, had formed a dance crew with these idiots, and had been selected to lead them by some miracle. And now, he was feeling the first serious judgment of his leadership skills. I should get going too, Kaminari sighed. Aizawa Sensei almost failed me, and gave me quite the lecture earlier today. So I think I'm going to write in the books for once. Man, I'd better get you to even study, Kaminari? Sarah teased, following suit and waving goodbye to Bakugo. Bakugo rolled his eyes as finally he was greeted once more by silence. With the four of them gone, and the night still having barely started, he could get a little practice of his own in. The music he had composed over break and the solo routine he had been working on making the male itch to try it again. The sunset colors crossing over the sky. The mayor reached for his own crew bag. A simple black duffel bag attracted no sort of attention at all. Bakugo quickly shed his uniform, putting on the black and orange attire that Ground Zero had become famous for wearing. The Kitsune mask that had been resting on the bottom looked up at him, and then quietly took it out, before putting his uniform on. This way, if anyone did happen to pass by, which was already unlikely, they would not be able to recognize him as anyone other than Ground Zero. The mask was always the hardest thing for him to do. His hair was already manageable, so trying to put it away and tuck it inside a hood, and mask always took him a few good minutes. Finally, he managed to completely hide his identity. Not even a single strand of his ash blonde hair came out of the mask. Soon enough, the sounds of music and the few vocals Drew had provided started to come through. Bakugo relaxed, allowing all the stress and annoyance of the day vanish as he started to move with the music. The music had created with the sole purpose to relieve some of the stress that was buried in his head and stuck in his heart. The anger that had always resided on him, somehow managing to find a slow, gradual escape as he became one with passion. A turn here, a jump there, and his finger was body to a tune that drifted in one ear and not the other. The male was soon lost in his own world, the music and his body in sync, and the area he was in running more than just coverage than the average passerby. Here, under this underpass, and by the cool sparkling water that was reflecting the last light of the day, he couldn't win. No UA telling him he couldn't dance the dance he wanted, no annoying classmates, no teachers, nothing but him and his passions. From a young age, he always dreamed of being the best, and this was no different. He had already proven himself a damn good composer. Every loser in class always asked him for his help or opinion, but when UA either cleaned up their trade system, or when he was free to finally go public, he let the world know how he was a master of both arts, music and dance. The last great person to ever be able to perform such a feat was Allmate, and then that man went on to win too many awards to count, and be placed in the Hall of Greats. The man who had inspired Bakugo's dreams was now a mere goal to surpass. He placed higher than All Might, showing that Bakugo and his new generation new age of dance was only the cusp of what he could do. I wonder what Midori could do in this. Breakdancing might have been the route he chose, but the male also had quite a few other tricks up his sleeve when it came to dancing. But he couldn't lie about how he felt, how freeing he felt when he danced this way, like he was more than himself, much greater than he even knew. That was why he did this, despite all the possible repercussions. He knew that dancing the style was always meant for him. Nothing else could ever compare. Bakugo's foot made a quick dip. An unseen rock underneath him was even causing him enough of a surprise to mess up. Rather, he used the new and balanced state to jump out, twirling and gliding. It wasn't a part of the routine he had been practicing, but a little freestyle never hurt anyone. The music went on, the beats increasing, and his legs moving with them. No matter how fast the music got, he was able to keep up, feet gliding, hands pretending to drum every now and then, and his body starting to reach the perfect ache. He felt hot. The only bad thing about wearing these masks and thick clothing were that the heat he often worked out during his workouts always made it so unbearable. And while he did enjoy the heat more than most, even he had his moments where his own sweat and aching muscles needed to cool off. And as the music ended and he struck the final pose, he knew that he'd have to do a quick glance around before, from under the mask, he couldn't see everyone in the near vicinity, and so, with a smirk at his near-perfect practice, he took off the mask. Oh, that's when they meet. The cool air of the night made him sigh with a proudness in his gut, a smug smirk on his features as he started to shed off the rest of his attire, and moved to pack it all up again. He'd have to head home soon, as more of an nagging to not end if he was late to dinner again. But before he could even put the mask back into his bag, something small and metallic was struck above him. The male freezing in place momentarily as a small can of soda rolled down towards his feet. The empty can finally stopping and leaving a feeling of dread in the air. Bakugo's eyes widened, and the mask quickly and carelessly being thrown back on his face. The heat from his face still very present, and the mask itself only allowing him to see directly in front of him. Bakugo knew one day that this mask, one that cut off the ability to see more than just what was directly in front of him, would cause trouble one day. And now, he knew someone was here, his mind quickly trying to piece together who it might be, too angry by this possible leak of his true face, to actually notice how his hair was spelling out, and part of his chin could be seen as well. It wouldn't be when he visited crew members. They would have told him with grinning faces that it was them, and to not be so scared because they jumped him. If it was a fan, they would run out and ask for an autograph already. Meaning, it might be someone from UA, a rival crew, or even worse. Damn Deku. Bait for Deku is always consistent. Give me a moment. But as he focused in on the figure that was slowly walking forward, the familiar uniform in her attire and how she seemed to hold a face of nervousness and slight guilt, he couldn't help how his anger returned threefold. The damn classic dancer from the glass. The stuff he wanted had already dropped him off the wrong way. Of course it had to be her. Now here she was in front of him, looking down at him from her perch above him. There is no use for that mask now, not when I already saw your face. Bakugo's great teeth grated against each other. She confirmed that she had indeed seen his face. He smacked himself internally for having not done a bad job. But this damn mask was the cause. Maybe Pinky was right, and they needed to get new ones. Cause once again, these damn cheap things were causing more problems than they were worth. Especially since Kaminari had bought them from some cheap tourist shop. But as Bakugo walked forward, each step seeming to burn the ground with raging fire in his chest, he knew what was to come next would make or break everything that had gone for him. Everything he had worked for to achieve, and do for years now. Every ounce of blood, sweat, and occasional tears that came off of him towards what his dream was, would not be destroyed because of the HC period. Because of the female who had appeared before him on a day where he really didn't need anything else to go astray from his planned path. But as he ducked in away from any more eyes and under the underpass he had assumed hid him, the male knew what had to be done. And while he had known it might be the best idea to try and convince her in his own way to keep her mouth shut, he would not let anyone, let alone some lonesome ballerina, ruin his dreams. He had come too far, passed by too many obstacles, and worked around the challenges facing him to give up now. And she was going to understand that, and bend to his will, no matter how many protests her voice would hold. He was going to convince her to stay quiet. He had to, as this entire scenario was everything to him. He'd be damned to lose it because of a shitty mask shaped like a fox. I really want to know what's going on here. But yeah, that's all I can do for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope I can do this again with you. Bye! Also, I forgot, I'll be doing one tomorrow. Yeah, I'm troll. I'll be doing something like this tomorrow. But yeah, Saturday and Sunday. Okay, I'll see you later for real.